Welcome to Frontrunners Innovate, where we connect you to global leaders meeting the world's challenges through business and innovation. Our guest for this episode is Paul Berry. He's a partner and co-founder of Habit Driven, an AI-based platform that helps you reach goals through developing good habits. In this platform, you're going to be given the opportunity to follow the habits of experts in a variety of subject areas and get to those goals quicker, easier, and with your own private AI character habit coach. And I know all of this because I am one of those experts on Habit Driven, officially launching my channel today. I'm Mary Kurek, CEO of Frontrunners Development, a global business development consultancy that connects businesses to change the world. And it is my pleasure to connect you right now to my good friend, Paul Berry. So welcome everybody to another episode of Frontrunners Innovate. And I have a good friend. He has been a good friend for a year and a half, 2 years maybe, or whatever now, who also has partnered with another really good friend that I've known for more than 20 years, I think. And together they make up Habit Driven. And Paul is sort of driving the marketing bus on that, as you see on his hat. And I have become sort of a friend and colleague and let's just say channel partner in this endeavor, and really happily so. I love what they're doing. I love how they're doing it. And I felt like it was really important to bring it to some of you who, a lot of you do what I do, because that's how we got connected. So if it makes life easier and more interesting for me, then I feel like it will do the same for you and help other people. That's the big thing here, is helping other people. So Paul, welcome. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you.
Which I always think is so funny. Whenever I get ready to introduce you, it's like, I'm just like peeved that it wasn't me who introduced you to Mike. I just couldn't even believe that. How is it these two people know each other that I know so well, and I'm not the one that made the introduction? One of those things, God probably said, tired of waiting on you. I'm just going to do it myself.
Yeah, you get there eventually, but we can't wait any longer. That's it.
Yeah, there you go. So you were in the Los Angeles area in good old California. So you two got hooked up. Tell us the beginning. Tell us how this all came about, how Habit Driven started.
Yes. So Mike and I met on Lunch Club, which is where I'd met a lot of great people. And I was running my rooftop mixers here, which was really a result of meeting all these people on Lunch Club locally, but then coming out of the pandemic and going, you know what, why are we just meeting online? Why don't we meet in person? Don't have time to meet everyone individually. Want to hang out on a rooftop in LA, watch the sun go down and have a beer and chat with people who are professionals. And so I started putting that together. So when I met Mike, I was like, hey, I've got a rooftop mixer coming up. Why don't you come and we'll meet? And he brought business partner Brandon along and we met in person there. But we'd already had a couple of pretty full-on conversations. Like our first 40-minute call was about 2 hours and 40 minutes long. That was the first time we ever met. And then the next one was about an hour and a half. And I was like, oh man, are these going to get shorter as they go? So that's how we met. And we met in person. And at that point, Mike was looking for someone to potentially be more of a front man for the business, because he was doing 6 businesses as he does at a time. His business, which is very, very big and very successful as well. So when I originally was thinking about it, I was going to come on board more just in that kind of marketing sense and front man. But then when I looked at the app, I was like, actually, this is a very robust app. It's been a lot of money and time and effort going into the development of this. But still, I was like, this is not something that I would necessarily use myself as it is today. So when I said to Mike, I said, can we take another day? And I want to pitch you something. I want to give you my vision for what this could be. So I took the night, created a whole PowerPoint presentation, and then we had a meeting and he sat back and took a few notes and just sat there like this. And I said to him, like, this is the vision for it for the next 20 years, like not just to get the next 20 years, but for the next 20 years, this is how it's going to be a multi-billion-dollar platform and so on. And he went, all right, let's do it. Because we'd had so much time at the time. And he and I both knew that when he said, let's do it, it was going to be, there's be a trial period of us working together. But as I said to a friend recently, there's never been a other shoe waiting for the other shoe to drop moment, because when we first started, the first half of what we spoke about, we just connected over, which was what he had in mind. The second half of what we spoke about was what I had in mind, which he hadn't even imagined yet, but was exactly what he fell in love with straight away. So when you find someone who you can trust to just take care of my business because you see it exactly the way that I do. But even when I walk away from it, you're going to take my business further than I would have on my own. It becomes a no-brainer to work with that person. And so that's what we started doing. And so now we're about 6 months in. And my other company, Client Concierge, which builds the AI solutions, was the real catalyst for this, because Mike had experienced one of the chatbots, wanted that kind of technology to be implemented in habit driven. It suited what I said, which is habit driven in 2024 with AI. Habit building really needs to be conversational. It needs to be fluid. It needs to be intuitive. It needs to be conversational. It can't be remember to go over there and do that thing and technically work out how to do this and that. It has to be, you get a text or an email and Habby says to you, hey, by the way, you didn't do your habits yesterday. Are you okay? And you say, oh, gosh, sorry, Habby. Yeah, I'll do them now. And you do them and they get updated in the system. And now your life has improved conversationally, intuitively, easily, or as close to passively as possible, removing as much of the friction as possible. So once we realized that that was our goal, then it was down to how do we technically make what you've got match that goal. We've got the automations, we've got the conversations, we've got the intuition here. You've got this platform that is incredibly robust and you can track everything and you've got these amazing metrics. But how do we make them work together? That's where software development comes in and slows everything down substantially. We've got an amazing team, but things don't happen overnight in the software world, and that's been a big learning lesson for me. So it's taken about 6 months to get to the point where some of the first things that I envisioned for this platform are now live. We're about a week or two away from some of the next huge things going live. The rest of the year, we've got another 2 or 3 amazing things happening. And then by Q1 and Q2 next year, just incredible stuff coming with the platform. Long answer to a short question. That's how I met Mike.
Well, and that, I was going to ask you to kind of frame out what.
Well, that's the whole interview. You don't need any more now.
Well, yeah, I do. You don't know me very well, Paul, and you should. I was going to ask you about, really what it is, what this animal is that you do. But I think what might be better is if you walk somebody through how they utilize it, how people are utilizing it, and then we'll talk about the components of the channel partnerships, the people actually who are on it that are offering the habits and that sort of thing. But if you'll talk a little bit about the use cases.
So my vision for it, and it's largely there right now that people can experience, is that you come and you what we call chat with Habby. So Habby is the friendly companion, the AI assisted habit companion who is there to help you work out what you need in your life and to help you create the type of habits on a daily or weekly or regular basis that are going to get you the results that you want. So you come in to a chat bot and you chat with Habby. Habby will ask you a series of questions about what habit do you want to make or break today? Why do you want to do it? Why is that important to you? What are you already doing that's aiding that goal? And what are you doing that's getting in the way? And then Habby suggest, hey, why don't you give us details and we'll email you a breakdown of this. And why don't you jump on and join the app right now? So if you go in and you join the app, which we encourage everybody to do straight away, all with the same email, ideally, you go into the app and all of the information that you just chatted with Habby about is now imported directly as habits into the app. So for the first time ever, out of any habit apps anywhere on the planet, as far as I can tell, rather than having to go to an app and create a habit, you don't often know what habit you're supposed to create. You don't know what frequency, you don't know what time of day, you don't know how many repetitions, you don't know. So unlike anything ever before, now you can chat with Habby and you can create these habits conversationally. Habby is the one that says, based on the fact that you said you love running, but you have a bad back and you've got kids, so you get up early in the morning, but then you have to take them straight to school and then you're stuck in traffic all the way back. And once you give all those details to Habby, Habby is the one that uses the infinite wisdom of artificial intelligence to be able to say, okay, why don't I suggest for you 1 or 2 habits, 3 in fact, that you can do that can get you what you want. Then you go into the app and those habits are right there as well as a whole bunch of other habits that we have from Habit Driven. And you can choose with check boxes. You can choose the ones you want, the ones you don't want. Once you import those, they go straight into your dashboard. So let's say someone today did all of that. Within 2 minutes, they're in the app with these brand new habits that are specifically tailored to them using AI. So now they have them on the dashboard. Now, if they've done it, so it says 3 push-ups, they do 3 push-ups. Now they just go swipe right, done. Or I'm not going to do that, or I didn't do it today, swipe left, pass. And then they can go to what's called snippets. So they can make a little note and they can say, didn't do this today, hurt my shoulder, picking up the kids last night, can't do the push-ups. No worries. That's a note that Habby now has as a piece of memory. But I did drink those extra glasses of water. Really proud of myself. All of the information that you are giving Habby conversationally, like you remember stuff I say as a friend and I remember stuff you say as a friend, all of that gets locked away in the memory bank of Habby. So when Habby is creating suggestions for you, those are based on your personal experience, what you've said. So if you tomorrow wake up, you'll get an email and Habby will send you an email saying, hey, good morning, how you going? By the way, so just to summarize, this is what you didn't do yesterday for this reason. This is what you did do and you were very proud of yourself. In fact, in first person, Habby writes this. So I didn't do this yesterday because of this reason. I did do this and I was really proud of myself. Maybe today what I can do to make things easier is, and then the AI wisdom of Habby then creates a path forward that makes it easier based on having known you yesterday and known your experiences yesterday. And the idea is that the more you interact with Habby, the more abilities, the more of that wisdom that Habby has is going to grow and be more tailored to you and help you improve your life more.
I love it. You've made me write down 2 or 3 habits I need to.
There you go. Good.
When it asks you, like for instance, meditation, it'll ask you how long. How long do you, the length of time, there. And it's funny because I think when I first put mine up for like 20 minutes, I must have hit 20 in 1 minute. And so if I hit 20 minutes, it's like,
No, girlfriend.
You didn't get that 21 minutes. So I was like, failed mission. I'm like, no.
And the wonderful thing about this, Mary, is that we say, as people have been saying about AI for a year and a half now, this is the dumbest, slowest, and most expensive it's ever going to be. It's only going to get it's only going to get faster.
This is true. This is the way it's going to work.
Yeah.
I love that. So let's talk about the crazy people like me who have habits on there from years of experience of doing some of the things that we do. I know it's kind of out there as sort of a lifestyle app, or how do you verbalize that and position yourselves from a marketing standpoint?
Yeah, well, that's the interesting thing is when Mike originally started with this, he thought it was a slam dunk kind of self-improvement app, right? And you got all the life coaches out there and they will just be like, this is a great thing but then when I came on board and I was like, but I've got this friend who's like really big in neurodiversity in Australia. And I've got this guy who's a 6-time US memory champion. And I've got this person, an ultra running community where they run 400 kilometers across the Gobi Desert in China. And I started thinking, well, why should they not be channel partners? Because, the shorthand for channel partner is an influencer of some kind.
Yeah.
A thought leader, a coach, a consultant, a school, a university. We don't care. If somebody is trying to change the world in a significant and positive way, but all of the education and content and community that they're creating is just going out there somewhere like a wave hitting the sand and dissipating, and they have no idea of the impact it's having. They have no idea. I have no idea if my lessons are still being used by actors that I taught 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I have no idea if my TEDx talk is even being watched, let alone if anybody's actually doing anything with what I talked about in that talk. I have no idea if anyone is doing the lessons I taught in my book. But in all of those cases, if I did a course, if I wrote a book, if I did a retreat somewhere with someone, and they had this app as well, if I were a channel partner for Habit Driven, that person could still theoretically today, a week later, a month later, a year later, 10 years later, 20 years later, still have me top of mind 24/7, 365, using my habits all day, every day. And I wouldn't even know unless, I would know that someone's using it, but unless they come back to me and say, hey, I'm using it. So now, because we're building something which in the future, the channel partners will be able to create teams and leaderboards and communities, so they can actually say to their users, keep it all private if you want to, which is what it all is right now. You use your app, it's completely private. We know if people are using it or not.
Yeah.
People are using it or not, but we don't know anything else. It's not public, it's all completely private. Someday soon, early next year, you will be able to say you can join multiple networks, you can join a channel partner for memory, a channel partner for relationships, a channel partner for running, a channel partner for back care, for parenting, for faith-based stuff, whatever it is. And you can take all of the bits and pieces that you want of people's good habits, and you can thread them together and put them into your own life and do the habit stacking, but putting together stuff from all of the experts out there. So rather than just consume a lead magnet or go to a webinar or just visit another Tony Robbins event, that's great. Take as many notes as you want, get riled up by the crowd. But when you go home and you go to sleep and you wake up tomorrow morning, what do? You're going to do exactly what you did before you went to that event, unless you've got something that says, are you doing it right now? And if I have to remember to go to an app, to remember to create a habit, to remember to mark that habit off, more and more friction. But if it sends me a message and says, have you done it? And I go in, I do it, and I mark it off. Now it remembers why, not just did I do it, didn't I do it, but why did I do it? Why didn't I? It can begin to suggest better ways for me to not only achieve things, but better ways to overcome the obstacles that are right in front of me. And that's the most exciting part about this. We couldn't do that without, we just can't do that without AI. There's a certain amount you can do with conditional logic, but without machine learning, artificial intelligence, it's very difficult to do this at that scale, personalized.
Yeah. I love this. I know there's the positive and negative side of things, but I was thinking as you were talking that it's great to teach people how to do things, the positive things, but well, what if you're trying to teach people to undo some bad habits that they may have? And I think the only way to do that is teach them to replace them with good new habits, I suppose. But I'm not a professional on that. So you tell me.
Well, so if you look at James Clear's stuff or Charles Duhigg or any of the people that have written books on habits, they talk about a cue and a routine and a reward, some variation on that idea. So I used to think it was like, when you get a song in your head, I think Wayne's World, they call it earworm or something, but you get that song in your head and you can't get it out of your head. I was like, well, it's easy to get that out of your head. All you have to do is you have to just sing another song deliberately, more loudly, more frequently, and then you will forget about that other song. But that doesn't get rid of the cue for why you're singing that song in the first place.
Yeah.
But if you can find the cue and you can alter that cue, now you get a different song. And so, for instance, if you have a bad habit, and this is when I was a smoker many years ago, and I went to hypnotherapy for the very first time, what they did was they went right back and they said, what is the cue that makes you want to pick up a cigarette in the first place? Then when we worked that out, they said, think of 3 other things right now while I'm in the semi-hypnotic state. Think of 3 other things you could do that aren't drinking, that aren't smoking, that aren't another bad habit on top of this one, to replace this one. Think about 3 other things you could do when that cue hits you. So I would say I'd be in the foyer of theater companies and there's just actors everywhere and they're all just trying to be pretending to be polite to one another. And I was just like, man, I just get out of here. I want to have a cigarette. And then I would say, well, I'm just going to go to the bar. And he's like, no alcohol. I'm like, go to the bar, get a glass of water. I'm just going to go to the bar and get a glass of water. I'm just going to go to the bathroom, put the lid down, sit in a cubicle, in a stall, and just sit there and just meditate. But I had to come up with ways that cue could give me alternatives, because otherwise, in the moment, I'm just going to go with what I know. And what I know is the habit. So what we want Habby to do is Habby already has that knowledge, but to be able to say, you don't have this in your life, this is how you do it. But you can like attaching a new habit to an old, potentially negative cue, you can't create a brand new habit just out of nothing. It has to come from somewhere. So for instance, for me, I have on the way into my kitchen here, I have one of those bars that you can put under your door so that you can do stretching and pull-ups and things like that. I wasn't getting in and using all of the gym equipment that I bought for myself because it's tucked away in my office. And I started working out here with a stand-up desk where there's more room in my living room.
Yeah.
But I was like, what do I do every day? I go into that kitchen, I get water, I get food, I go to the fridge, I come and I go. I'm
Mm.
like, what if I put that thing right there? So I literally, because I'm 6'2", I literally have to duck to get under it. So if I have
Yeah.
to duck, then go, all right. And I do
It's
some
there. I might as well.
stretches. And so what I've done is my cue is that I'm going into that room for whatever reason,
Yeah.
food or drink or whatever. This has a
Mm.
double effect. One, I get all of this, I get this micro effect throughout the day. So I might only do 3 pull-ups, but by the end of the day, I've done 60 pull-ups because I go in and out of that room nonstop.
Yeah.
I would never do 60 pull-ups in a row. But equally, if I'm going into that kitchen because I'm bored or I'm looking around, I'm thinking I might go to the fridge and eat, I get to that door, I do these pull-ups, and now I don't feel like just wolfing down some snack anymore. So I get additional benefit from it. So that might help me diffuse the habit of overeating when I'm bored or when I'm distracted or
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
I'm
It immediately changes your viewpoint on, where you are, what you're doing. I think that's what I love about yoga is it completely wipes away anything else. And you get that sort of daze look, where you can focus in on something because they're always training you to do that so that you can do these crazy poses, tree pose and all this and balance yourself. And it works, but it takes your attention and your focus in a different location, put it somewhere else. But, yeah, I love that. Wrote down that, you know, what did I write down? Okay, I wrote down several different collaborative sort of avenues, and I'll talk to you about that in a minute. But let's talk about the channel partner, the kind of thing what I do and how I'm on habit driven. So I'll walk it really quickly through what happens if you've got somebody like me who's written a book or who's got an expertise that actually has habits attached to it in order to, because for me, it's relationship development so that I can do the business development work that I do. But in order to do that, a lot of things have to happen first. And for me to have developed the kind of network I have for me to be able to utilize that network to do what I do, that took a lot of building, let's just say a lot of consistency and doing certain things. So I'm on it for that reason, for the relationship development piece of teaching people how to have the right habits for that. But what are the types of people that you have that are like me on there, and how does that work with habit driven?
Yeah, so our very first channel partner was actually Jack Canfield from Chicken Soup for the Soul fame, who sold hundreds of
Yeah, I
millions.
love Jack.
We have Nelson Dellis, who's a 6-time US memory champion. My friend Madeline Jane Lobsey, who's in Australia, very big in the neurodiversity community. And as I say, the ultra runners and all sorts of different channel partners. But you're probably an outlier in some ways, Mary, because if you knew what your habits were, you are an outlier for a lot of the experts that I talk to, because they're just great at what they do. Because by definition, a habit is unconscious. A habit isn't something you have to think about all the time, because that's not a habit, that's an activity.
Yeah.
Once that regular positive activity becomes something that you no longer think about, now it's a habit. So when we were talking to ultra runners, for instance, and saying, what are your habits? They were sitting there scratching their chins, looking at the sky thinking, what are my habits? And so it was a really interesting introspective exercise for them to have to say, and I'd say, look, think of it this way to every expert I speak to. What is the barest minimum that somebody would need to do on a regular basis in order to even vaguely have a chance at the life that they're following you to have? What is the barest minimum? So they come to you for this amazing networking business growth opportunity. They come to someone else because they're an amazing vocal coach. They come to someone else because they're a Olympic swimmer or whatever it is. So they come to this person, they follow them. They somehow want a life like that. But where do I start? Even if you give me a course, that's great. Now, where do I start? Well, read my book. Read your book. Now, where do I start? Well, start with this. Okay, I've done it. Now what? Oh my God, you can't be there for them every step of the way. So the expert has to be able to say, the thought leader has to be able to say, okay, so if somebody wanted to have a life like Mary Kurek, they would need to be on calls at least 5 days a week with other professionals who want to grow their business. I mean, and then I would say, would they be at your level of success if they did one call only per day, 5 days a week? And you'd say, well, probably not, but that's a start. So then we say, great, let's start there. Get on a call with a professional at least once a day, 5 days a week. That's one habit to do. And then when you go into the app, you mark it. I did it. I did it. I did it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I did 3 today. I'm going away for the Thanksgiving. So that's okay. I've kind of averaged it out. So I'll say, I'm not going to do that, but I am going to do that. Great. But first of all, the thought leader needs to know what those habits are. What's the barest minimum that somebody would need to do to even vaguely have a chance at the life that they're following you to create? That's what we need to know. Now, the second most important thing is that the channel partners that we work with need to have an audience. There will come a time in about a year, maybe, where this will be a wonderful lead magnet for people without audiences, because it will be a marketplace and we'll be able to pollinate audiences. But the first thing right now is that people need to have a ready-built audience to go to and say, hey, I've got this amazing partnership. I've got this co-branded version of Habit Driven with all of my own habits pre-built into it. All you have to do is sign up for a free trial and you can download all of my habits. And even if you don't pay for it ever, you get to keep 3 of my habits in perpetuity. You'll never pay for it. But hey, by the way, I can also give you a significant discount on a lifetime version of this right now, because what we want to do is habit driven, and full disclosure to your audience, rather than go away giving away equity in our company to others, we would rather say our users are all micro investors who, if we give them an incredible deal right now and they say for $99 for the rest of their lives, they can have this app and never pay for it ever again. And we get 10,000 people doing that. That's $1 million we didn't need to go and raise. And we can immediately put that back into making Q1 happen and Q4 this year, and Q4 next year happen in Q2 next year. So it's really exciting for us to be working with channel partners and saying, you're already an expert at what you do. You've already got these amazing audience members who love what you do, but you can't be there for them 24/7, 365. And you can't monetize people just looking at your lead magnets out there and not doing anything else. But if someone comes along to Mary Kurek's channel partner account, for instance, and they go to her, they will get all of her proven habits. They will be able to be a part of her network. They'll have bought into her vision for what the future is going to be. They'll get better results than they would have if they just read your book and didn't do anything with it. And they'll be a part of what we believe is going to be an incredibly successful platform with an amazing community. And what's great for us is they get to give us feedback on what they want the platform to be. So we're building something that is actually what people want, not just an incredible vision for something that no one's ever going to use.
Yeah, it's very meaningful. And I love the fact there's a rev share piece of that with the channel partners. So that makes sense. And we talked about early on that people with courses and with books and something specific that they have a following, or that they are, they're putting out there for the world to see. No matter if it's a podcast or a magazine or whatever it is that they're putting out there, this would be something definitely that would help them move that in the right place, but also save them time and energy, and still get to a place where it's making a difference and they're still creating some income flow off of it. So,
here's the thing. My radical thought on all of this, Mary, is there is no point creating any community or any content or any courses unless you have something like this. Maybe it's not this for everybody. Maybe it's something else. But if you're writing a book, doing professional speaking events, teaching courses, running masterminds, and you have no idea whether people are daily taking action on what you're saying, part of me radically wants to say, stop it all. Stop it all. These are vanity metrics. I have a course. I have a TEDx talk. I wrote a book. I was in a TV show. I was interviewed on Mary's show. Like, all of these things are vanity. And when I say I've got 1,000 YouTube views on that video in the last 10 minutes, fantastic. I've got 100 million subscribers on TikTok or whatever. These are all wonderful vanity metrics. How much money are you making on YouTube monetization? who cares if you're not getting the direct results from the people that you're purportedly creating all of this content and value for them to have a better life? And I can't blame people, because if there's no way to find out that data, then you start looking for that data. You start going back, you pull the troops back in, and you say, well, what do we have control of? I have control of YouTube monetization. I have control over views. I have control over how many followers we got this month. I have control over how many leads converted to warm leads, converted to warm prospects, converted to sales and to repeated sales. Yes, but why were you doing this in the first place? To get results. Do you know how to get results? I know how to get them, but I don't know if people are doing them. The app does that, and it does it for you 24/7, 365. And if someone's doing it and they're loving it and they're getting results, guess what they're going to do? They're going to go to that little button that says share, and they're going to share it. And guess what's going to happen? You're going to get more people come to you passively. And my dream, Mary, is that ultimately a big content creator becomes a small content creator. A big content creator with minimal results becomes a small content creator with maximal results. That way, want to create lots of content. Now the content they create can become whatever content they want, rather than whatever content is going to be a slave to the algorithm of the platform that they're on that day before it gets or changed to the next one. So that's my big vision. It's going to change how to create value.
I think, well, just skip writing the book and just get straight to creating the habits, for sure. I love that
thing, because I'm like, why? So we have these courses to get them to do stuff, but what if we just said, just do this? Like, rather than even talking about why to do it and how to, just tell them, like, just get up in the morning, like Mel Robbins' 5-second rule. Your alarm goes off. Just let you get up and let your feet hit the floor as soon as possible. And trust me, it works. I don't do it today, but when I first heard that rule and I wanted to do walking early in the morning, my alarm would go off and I'd just be out of bed in my clothes on the road in the middle of winter, doing a 3.5-hour walk around Santa Monica in the middle of winter. And all it was just that moment of, if I stay longer than 5 seconds in bed, if I get up, I'm up. If I put my clothes on, they're on. If I put shoes on, if I walk out the door, oh, well, I'm already there. So there is a part of me that says all of this content we create that purportedly gets people to the point where action is taken and they succeed, maybe all of that is just fluff and vanity, when in fact all we need to do is say, what should you do right now? And so I go to the app and Mary tells me, just get on a call with someone today, just a professional today. Any professionals? Yeah, I'm a professional. Get on a call. Here we are talking right now. Can we have a conversation right now? Just have a conversation with one professional per day. Great. Done that. Awesome. In fact, you know what? I might do 2 or 3 more now because that was easy. No, slow down, save them for tomorrow and next week. But what's the next thing? And then I go to Mary's, but this was the thing I was going to say. As we were talking to all of these experts and professionals in their various fields, and another interesting thing emerged. Once they got beyond the superficial, they got deeper than, this is about finance, so track your finances, look at where you write your financial goals. Run and stretch and look at your diet. Everybody got deeper and deeper and deeper. And rather than them being like parallel paths that got deeper and deeper, it's like they all got deeper and deeper and deeper and eventually got to like the bottom of the funnel, right? Which is mindset.
Yeah.
Doing good in the world and compassion and knowing your why and finding deeper peace and just sitting with yourself. And it's funny, for all of the differences, when you look right down to the bottom, they all come back to what the hell is the point of any of this, unless it is to find a peace and a stasis and a stability and a goodness and a joy and connect with other humans and family and make life richer and more fulfilled. Everybody came to that. And that was a really beautiful kind of revelation. And I think that will keep going because it's whatever.
And honestly, that's the quest. That's what everybody's on. And that's why it would work so well, is to be able to take it in chunks. That's what I think a habit, developing a habit is a chunk of, it's not the whole thing. It's just part of it. But you string, like you say, stack enough of them together, then you get your own program, so to speak. And, sometimes it's just like weight loss. It's maybe not the one size fits all for everybody. It, not one solution fits every other person to be able to get there. And I think you look at what is going to work for you. It's funny, probably one habit, I mentioned this to you, one habit that I had put in is something that I had thought, and I'm having to refight it now that we're back off of daylight savings time, which is the bedtime is getting hooked up in either what's going on my phone or what's going on TV, and then forgetting what time it is. And then the cats always get me up at the same time. So it doesn't matter what time I go to bed at night. I'm going to get woken up at the same time. And if I haven't had enough rest, Mary's not a happy camper, and my husband can attest to that. The cats too, if I'm a little grumpy, but they require to be fed at a certain time. So, that one habit is really interesting because it comes up every day, and it's the one I notice the most because it's the one I have the most trouble with. And being able to say, check mark in that box. It's the stupidest little things that make you so happy. It's like, they're good. I'm a good girl. But if I can be my best, and I can do everything that I need to do for that day for the personal stuff and the professional stuff. And more, and this is for all you people who are getting of that magic age, the older you get, the more that personal stuff, that taking care of yourself is going to move right up the scale. That's going to be I don't ever start my day without me taking care of me first. Now it's my exercise, it's my yoga, it's a little bit of meditation, even if it's only 5 or 10 minutes. It's whatever I can fit into that chunk, and I try not to start my day unless I can absolutely help it until like 10 or 11 o'clock. And I might go to 7 o'clock at night, but I'll start with me.
But what we hope that people will realize too is that the best way to be ready now is to be ready a couple of hours ago. The best way to be ready today is to be ready yesterday. Right. The best way to be ready this week is to be ready a month ago. And we're saying to people, the 1st of January, you are 100% going to say, new year, new me, what am I going to do now? And you're already too late. You're already too late.
You're behind the curve.
All of our channel partners right now, if you are not capitalizing on the fact that we're going into a period of the year where everybody in their brain feels like, well, the rest of it is a complete at least I'll start on the 1st of January.
It even is more than that. I found out, and I did some research on it, that during the holidays is when most people will think about quitting their jobs because they're given enough time to actually think about stuff like that. Sometimes they're around family members and friends that actually are infusing their own opinions and supporting them and cheerleading them on that. But they'll either think about changing jobs or changing careers entirely, or you're right, the time that they usually are going to think about starting something new will be in the holidays right before the 1st of the year. So, man, I need to chunk off like 50 pounds, or I need to start something new, or I need to address this or that thing that's going on in my life that's really driving me nuts. So big things, big decisions happen then, and that needs to be accompanied by the habits to help you get to that place to be able to make that leap.
The whole conversational thing for the app is not just for the app, it's for the entire company. So I created a TikTok channel for myself, which it's all about habit driven, but it starts always, every video starts with, a year from now, which habit would you wish you'd started today?
Yeah.
I walk up to people in the street and I say, we did one at Santa Monica College over here with the kids over here. We did one on Hollywood Boulevard with all these international tourists and locals. And I'll just keep going around and I'll just keep interviewing people and starting with the question, a year from now, which habit would you wish you'd started today? And the conversation goes on from there. But most people don't ask themselves that. If they stop and ask that question, we say to your audience right now, and I'll leave a second for people to think about it, a year from now, 1 year away from now, which habit would you wish you'd started today? Not on the 1st of January. But which habit do you wish you'd started literally today?
Yeah.
Financial habit, relationship habit, the way that you think about yourself, the way you dress, you look after yourself, fitness, whatever it is, taking a breath, you're chewing your food more, eating less, eating more, whatever it is. And then the next question is, what's stopping you? Like, why not right now? And I'll continue to tell the quitting smoking story because I was sitting across the road here, Christmas Eve, 2017, smoking a cigarette. And I said to myself at the age of 46, am I going to be smoking when I'm 50? I said to myself, am I going to smoke forever? And I was like, no, of course not. And I would keep smoking. And I said, but hang on, am I going to smoke when I'm 50? And I was like, oh, no, you're kidding? Who smokes when they're 50? And then I went, well, okay, so that means that somewhere between right now and when I quit, arbitrarily, I'm going to go I'm not smoking anymore. Now what's going to be the catalyst for that?
Mm.
I'm just decide I'm going to be in a hospital, on a hospital gurney going into emergency. Girlfriend is going to say, oh, that's disgusting, or stop it, or I'm finally going to just think I can't afford it anymore. Like, what is going to be the catalyst? And I was like, well, I guess it's just going to be an arbitrary decision. So then I moved to the next thought and I was like, so if it's going to be an arbitrary decision,
Yeah.
I would need to overcome feeling like I've wasted the money that I've already spent on the rest of these cigarettes. Because normally you think, I'll just finish this cigarette.
Yeah, you're putting
Then
logic
you're
to
out, and then you have to buy another one, and then it'll be tomorrow. So I
Yeah.
was like, I would have to overcome all of those objections and arbitrarily say, that's it, I'm done.
Mhm.
And I looked at the cigarette and I said, I would literally have to stop and not even have this drag, never smoke again, and be totally cool with that. So I put it out, tore up the rest of my cigarettes, put them all in the trash, and I've literally never thought about smoking ever since. Not an ex-smoker. I don't go, gosh, I'd love that. No, 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 I don't mind you smoking near me. I just love the smell of it, but I don't want to smoke. I am a non-smoker. Since
Mhm.
Christmas 2017, after 16 years of smoking, I became a non-smoker. I was addicted as you could be to smoking, to nicotine, and then immediately I was not. Now, people say to us, hey, how long does it take to create or break a habit? I say, like, it can be that. I mean, I've experienced it myself. Yes, it may take longer. Yes, it may take more steps.
Yeah,
But the possibility is what? I was never addicted to smoking and I just did it for the heck of it for 16 years, 2 packets a day.
exactly.
No, I was addicted to it. The alternative is that it doesn't always have to be as difficult as we make it. We just have to find what is the why, what is the reason, what is the cue, what is the connection, what is the alternative. And without AI being able to be there to infinitely brainstorm for you right now,
Mhm.
all the knowledge that has ever existed on the internet, to run all of the possibilities and game it all out based on your circumstances that it's been getting to know you, then it requires you have the money and the time to go back to a hypnotherapist again some other time and hope that that works. Or you talk to your friend who once quit but is smoking while they're telling you about quitting, and that's supposed to help you. We want to remove as much friction, as many steps as possible from creating a positive habit and removing a negative habit. And the only way to do that I know of at scale is to use machine learning and artificial intelligence to just bombard all of the possibilities but in the background and then come to you with the absolute best one for you right now. If that doesn't work, you tell it doesn't work. Now it runs the math again with that new factor included, and now it comes up with another alternative. It is
Interesting.
infinitely patient. It is infinitely
Can't wear it
accepting.
out.
It is non-judgmental, and it
Yeah.
will always be there to support you when Mary and I would love to, but we just can't be. We're humans. We just don't have enough time to be
Mhm.
there all the time. And that's why it's so exciting to me that
Mhm.
AI, for all of the potential dangers and problems and issues and security breaches that could happen and so on, if everybody's doing their absolute best to make sure that those things are mitigated and kept in check, then it's well worth it, because what we can gain as human beings from artificial
Mhm.
intelligence, especially in the space that we're in, is well worth any small risk that
Mhm.
everyone finds out that you did 3 push-ups instead of 10.
Wow, this is so good. So let me just kind of close this out and say to everybody, this is sort of the official launch of my own habit-driven channel, as it were, and I'll provide the link to that in along with the description here of this episode of Front Runners.
Are you giving your bad habits to them, Mary, as well, or
No,
just the
no,
good?
no. They only get the good stuff. They only the good stuff. You know,
Well,
I try to be very professional, very ethical about all the work that I do. So it's all in that vein, but really intended to help people learn how to develop better relationships and how important that is to our world and to your work and to your professional life, your personal life as well, is what I should say. But and I've while you were talking, I wrote down a couple more names. That's just what I do. And then some other possibilities that I'll talk to you about in a minute. But I want to end up by asking you, what types of people are you looking to meet to help you with habit driven, to help us all become better users, better channel partners, and that sort of thing. But just in general, who do you need
yeah.
to meet to help you move things forward?
I think audiences like this are really critical for us at this point because the conversation is the most important thing. So if we are having big public conversations with audiences of people who want to positively change their lives, we cannot fail. We are very open to there's things that need to be improved. There's a whole roadmap where we're going. We're not there yet. We've got an amazing app so far, but anyone that gets in now will see
Yeah.
a huge development in the next year. So I always want to meet people who are connected with engaged audiences who are open to having a conversation about improving lives. That's my main thing right now.
Okay. Well, that's perfect. And I hope everybody's listening up. And once again, you have the connection. I'm going to drop in specific to my channel below, but also just the regular app connection, the link to that. So if you wanted to go check that out in general and not just go to strictly to my page, but this is just great. It's going to be something that's going to be so useful, so meaningful, and literally life-changing for a lot of people. And that is something I wanted to talk to you about, certain spaces that I kind of play in that I think this might have some real relevance to. So I'm going to say goodbye to everybody else. If you'll stay with me just a minute, Paul, I'll say goodbye to everyone else and say we will see you again next time on Frontrunners Innovate. Thanks. Bye.